What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Well, tonight we're going to continue with some of the multivitamin, or just I shouldn't say multivitamins, but vitamin talk, because I actually got a lot of people on my Instagram, not necessarily my YouTube, my Instagram actually messaging me saying that this stuff is really helpful and they're really interested in this stuff, and nobody's really talking about it because everybody's so concerned with building muscle or losing fat. But the problem is, part of what could keep them from building muscle faster and losing fat faster, like, this is the foundation. These vitamins, these minerals, how they work with the body, this stuff, when it's applied properly, will get you better results with that stuff that, like, you know, my meathead days, like, I wish I knew this stuff. I really do. But it was not in the forefront of my mind. It was just like, I had the mindset of the IFYMers. Lift heavy weights, eat a lot of food, get a lot of sleep. Like, when people, IFYMers say stuff like, well, it doesn't matter, just if it fits your macro, it doesn't matter whether it's a pixie stick or a potato, it's all the same. That sounds like that fucking commercial where they have Planet Fitness, where they have the guy, I pick things up and put them down. Like, that's what IFYMers sound like to me when they say that shit. Like, they sound fucking dumb because they don't know any of the stuff I'm talking about right here, right now. They know none of it. They just fucking dumb everything down, and they, you know, they're the version of what they make fun of us for, which is kind of interesting, right? So everybody's pretty much all the same. But anyways, tonight we're talking about vitamin D, and my wife Erin actually brought this up because her family has a history of cancer in it, and there is a distinct link between vitamin D levels in her family and cancer. And then she was like, well, I've kind of like gonna look that up, and she looked it up on her own, and she started finding that there was a distinct link between low vitamin D levels and cancer. Now, it was unclear whether or not the cancer was dropping the vitamin D levels or the low vitamin D levels caused the cancer, right? So she came to me and asked me some stuff. I said, you know, I'm going to look into that because that's interesting shit. And I've heard rumblings about it, but it was nothing I really delved into because I was too concerned in the past with that stuff about just building muscle and stuff, right? So we're going to we're going to read this article by Dr. Holick, H-O-L-I-C-K, Holick. I'm just going to go right through it because this actually explains a lot, and this is very important. Like, cancer, for me, I mean, and most of you out there have watched someone die from cancer, right? Or at least go through the process of beating cancer, and they're healthy now. But just the process of beating it is just unbelievably taxing and fucking, like, it's something that if you could avoid, like, most people, if you tell them they can avoid the flu, they'd be like, oh, I'm down. Well, avoiding cancer and cancer treatments, trust me, this is information you want. So Dr. Holick explains, everyone knows vitamin D is the vitamin important for bone health and for preventing rickets in children. But we're now recognizing the major source of vitamin D is coming up from the sun. So by definition, vitamin D is really a hormone. Once you make vitamin D in your skin or ingest it from your diet, it goes to your liver, converted to 25-hydroxy vitamin D known as calcidol, and then goes to the kidneys to the active form of 1,25-dihydroxy vitamin D, also known as calcitrol. So calcidiol and calcitrol, two different things. One's in the liver, one's in the kidneys. As it turns out, vitamin D is very important in helping the use of calcium in your diet by increasing the intestinal calcium absorption. So you need calcium and vitamin D together. So if you're just taking a calcium supplement without sufficient vitamin D, it's no fucking good. But anyways, the calcium absorption is to help mineralize the skeleton to have healthy bones for both children and adults. We have all now also now recognize that the many cells of the body separate from the kidneys can activate vitamin D, and there's mounting evidence that the function of vitamin D is to help regulate cellular growth. So it's not just about bones, cellular growth in general, right? There are several studies that have related higher blood levels of 25-hydroxy vitamin D and reduced risk of many deadly cancers, including colon, breast, and prostate cancer, to name a few. That's the, So he says, from my perspective, we should really ask the question, what were our hunter and gatherers forefathers doing? Because they didn't have the types of cancer we have now, right? And of course, people are going to say, well, we have better diagnosis. Listen, like, I'm tired of arguing with people. Like, if you think that we have just as much cancer now as, like, when we were fucking cavemen, just click off and just fucking go somewhere else. Like, do some other shit. But, because this is not for you, okay? But those of you that are sticking with me, we're going to get to the bottom of this, right? They said they was always exposed to sunlight. What were their kit likely levels? How much vitamin D would you require to attain those levels? What are the optimum levels? That's what they're trying to figure out. And I just said this the other day in a video, right? I just explained to you that the scientists and doctors don't actually know what optimal levels for vitamin and minerals are. They don't know. Those FDA recommendations for 100% of our recommended daily allowance, the RDA, is bullshit. It's a weird fucking number they took a stab at because they just corralled a bunch of fucking humans, said, well, they're all healthy, gave them like basically a physical, which fuck that, anything can be missed on a physical, and then ran through all of them and said, well, these are the direct fucking links that they're all linked, so this is what makes a healthy adult, right? But most people are not like that. So especially now, when they came up with those RDAs years ago, people have much more disease and ailments now than they did then. So what defines a healthy adult? They don't fucking know. So they don't really know how many vitamins and minerals we're supposed to have. Now, the vitamin D thing, it's super interesting, right? One of the insights was done several years ago where the study was performed in Maasai herders that live in Kenya at the equator. Even though they have extremely dark skin, Mother Nature still has the ability to make some vitamin D in their skin. Their blood levels were measured, and it was determined that their 25 hydroxy vitamin D levels were around 40 to 50 nanograms per milliliter. To get that level, adults would need to take 3 to 5,000 units of vitamin D per day. The recommendation for the Endocrine Society practice guidelines at 1,500 to 2,000 a day. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. The Endocrine Society recommends 1,500 to 2,000. Well, these healthy individuals down near the equator, their bodies have the equivalent to 5,000. It's over double what they recommend. That's exactly what I've been saying. What I've been saying is these RDAs are just it's like literally they took some shit, threw it on the wall, whatever stuck, they say that's what it is. Literally, it has no basis for it. These collaborations of fucking scientists trying to figure this shit out back in the day, however fucking long this was, like this shit needs to change. And it needs to change soon because we're getting fucked up because these stupid things that these scientists came up with back in the day. Because let's face facts, think about this. 30 years ago, would you trust someone to have the same amount of knowledge 30 years ago in a field that we have today? No, how much shit has happened in 30 years? Like even that stupid food pyramid thing has changed over time. Like things change and we need to figure this shit out because a lot of our ailments can be taken care of through fucking vitamins and minerals. The doctor says, I personally take 5,000 units of vitamin every day. My blood level is the range of 60 to nanograms per milliliter. All of my patients are on 3,000 to 5,000 vitamin D units per day. They're all doing well. There continues to be an association data saying that the higher your 25 hydroxy vitamin D levels are, the lower your risk of colorectal cancer, so colon cancer. The earliest study was done by the Garland brothers back in the 90s when they were relating latitude and colon cancer, and they did a prospective study on vitamin D status and the risk of colon cancer. They concluded two things. The first is that the higher latitude that you live in, the higher your risk for colon cancer. They also concluded that taking 1,000 units of vitamin D a day could potentially reduce the risk of colon cancer by as much as 50%. That's cutting your possibilities in half of getting colon cancer. Other studies suggest that improving your vitamin D status would have the benefit of reducing colorectal, it's a hard word for me to say for some reason, by about 25 to 50% depending on the study. So every study showed between 25 to 50%. So a quarter to a half of the studies that went on show that you literally have or is it half of the studies? I said no. All of the studies have proven between 25 to 50% reduction in your chances for getting colon cancer, right? The one that most significant concerns breast cancer. There's a nice study done from the Nurses Health Study that showed that nurses had on average blood levels of 48 nanograms per milliliter. So around 50 nanograms per milliliter, that would require you to take about 3,000 to 5,000 units a day, reduce their risk of developing breast cancer by 50%. This is why my wife was looking into this. There's also a study done by Dr. Knight in Canada. She asked a question on the phone to women living in Canada who had breast cancer and asked the same number of women living in the same area who did not have breast cancer and concluded the women who had the most sun exposure as teenagers and young adults reduced the risk of developing breast cancer later in life by almost 70%. So there's a reasonable amount of evidence suggests that improvement in vitamin D status can help reduce the risk of breast cancer. There was a recent study that came out known as the VITAL study. Authors concluded that 5 years on 2,000 IUs of vitamin D per day did not reduce the risk of developing colon cancer, but they did find statistically significant 25% reduction of dying from colon cancer if patients took vitamin D. Now here's the thing, you go, well the study said that it doesn't fucking keep you from getting it. Here's the thing, right? When you look at the study carefully, most of the subjects were not vitamin D deficient. What the fuck? So, of course it's not going to change. Their body's not deficient in vitamin D. We've talked about this with creatine, with all kinds of different things. If your body's deficient in something and you supplement it, it brings your levels back up to normal and you will now have healthy levels, therefore be healthier. Your body reacts better. It's healthier. Your immune system functions properly, all that. If your level's already high and you supplement something, it doesn't do anything. So you have to find out what your vitamin D levels are first and then supplement from there. Now, the senior author of the publication, Dr. Joanne Manson, even made the conclusion that it's also true that these types of cancers probably take more than a few years to develop. So introducing vitamin D for 5 years may not be long enough not a long enough time to see the benefits. That's all the more reason why I encourage family and my patients, you should always be vigilant about your vitamin D status and taking adequate amounts of vitamin D from birth until death. Not like one day, not the next one, or a year, every day from birth to death. That's what I said. Daily has to be taken in. Daily micros have to be taken in. That's why they're essential nutrients, because you have to take them in. Your body doesn't make them necessarily in the amounts that you need to be healthy. There continue to be small studies that have concluded that there may or may not be any benefit. Again, you have to look at how these trials are designed and what their outcome measures are. I think it's still not clear that maintaining blood levels that we would consider to be healthy range for 25-hydroxy vitamin D of 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter is recommended by the Endocrine Society does have the additional benefit of reducing risk of many deadly cancers. From my perspective, based on all the information I've reviewed, I think the data suggested that it does help reduce the risk of deadly cancers. Period. Now, one thing that I said when I started this whole thing, maybe last year or something, was we have more cancer now than ever before. And I got a little bit of resistance, and some people agreed with me, right? When I was a kid, we didn't actually even use sunblock. Like when I was a baby, I don't think they even put sunblock on babies. They just fucking put like an umbrella over you at the beach or something, right? Nowadays, those kids get slathered in sunblock fucking nonstop. Doesn't matter, from a baby to fucking 10 years old. Slathered in fucking SPF 100 when they're just going out to play or going to the beach or whatever the fuck is going on, right? The parents, right? Think about this. We have all these like facial creams and stuff that have these SPFs in it specifically because they don't want the skin to age, but the SPF stops that vitamin D from the sun. Now, if you're not absorbing in the vitamin D from the sun because of the sunblock, you're now probably going to be deficient in vitamin D. Now, many people do not get blood work done, and if they do, the lower levels that are suggested by the Endocrine Society are your levels are fine. They're slightly below that or just within that range. That's not enough. They need to be higher. Those numbers are wrong. So now I'm like, oh shit, well, here we go. This is another one of those reasons why these cancers can be in larger amounts now that, in 2019 than it was in 1975. Like when we were kids, this is going to sound so stupid, but I remember like my cousins and my family and shit putting on fucking baby oil and going to fucking lay in the sun. Nowadays, that would be like, oh my God, it's the fucking craziest thing ever. Cancer was lower then, right? You got somebody like my grandfather who literally was in the fight. Like, you guys don't know, some of you may not know about my grandfather. He was a farmer. He was from Portugal. He was a farmer. He worked on a farm almost every day of his life from like teenager to like, he died at 96 or 94. Probably about 90 was when he was starting to kind of not be able to drive and stuff. His eyesight was going a little bit, but he was out on a farm on his hands and knees, digging in the dirt, planting the fucking crops and shit all day long from sunrise to fucking sundown for how many years and didn't have fucking skin cancer. Never got skin cancer. That motherfucker adapted from whatever he was fucking doing. And one of the big things was he always ate natural, clean foods that my grandmother made that were chock full of fucking vitamins. My grandmother always made him supplement with vitamins and things. Like, his body was nourished and he was outside getting enough of that fucking vitamin D nonstop to where his body, I bet you his levels were way fucking higher than all these studies. Even the ones that are people that live close to the equator, I bet you his levels were like that. I bet they were normally like that, if not higher, from being out there. And he actually got bladder cancer. So the history of all these kids in my family, he got bladder cancer. Get this. They treated the bladder cancer with tuberculosis. They gave him a shot of tuberculosis in the fucking bladder. Cleared it up, the cancer went away. I was like, what the fuck? I thought my grandfather was like the Terminator. I'm like, or a vampire. I'm like, he's never gonna fucking die. Like, a week before he died, he was on his fucking bike in his living room fucking pedaling. He had a goddamn fucking stationary bike that he would fucking pedal because he lived on the second floor. So he wanted his legs to be strong enough to go up and down those stairs still, and since he wasn't working on the farm, that's somebody who was nourished properly. That's somebody who had the vitamins and minerals in his body his whole life. 94, he was either 94 or 96, I can't remember. But like, he was healthy doing that shit until he literally caught this fucking flu, and he was so old that he couldn't recover from the flu and he passed away. He went from being totally healthy and fine to just gone the next day at like 90-something years old, which, you know what? If that's going to fucking happen to me, he had all his wits about him, all his marbles about him. I lived with him for a while. Like, he was super fucking healthy. And there's a guy that drank alcohol regularly, smoked pipe tobacco. Now, he inhaled that shit. It was unfiltered pipe tobacco that you're not supposed to inhale. You're supposed to just draw it into your mouth and then blow it out. He would inhale it into his fucking lungs. No lung cancer, no skin cancer, none of that shit. Bladder cancer, which is fucking weird, and it's probably from him fucking holding his pee, which I've seen those fucking studies. Holding your urine can actually be really bad. But he's in the field, digging in his hands. Well, I can't pee now. Fuck it. Years of that. He got bladder cancer and beat that like that because his body was nourished. No chemotherapy, no radiation, no nothing. They injected tuberculosis in it. His body was strong enough to handle it. Fucking cured him. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, holy shit, like he's literally like a vampire. What the fuck? But now you look at stuff like this, that it explains what went on with people like my grandfather and other people that were fully nourished from cleaner foods, taking your multis, making sure that you had vitamin D levels. It blows my fucking mind how we got to this point to begin with. How we can sit here and argue about, no, Jerry, you're wrong. There's not more cancer. No, Jerry, vitamins don't fucking matter. No, Jerry, it doesn't matter. A Twizzler is just as good as a fucking potato. Are you fucking serious? Like, I'm sorry, but the bottom line is people are sick as fuck all over the place. Half of you motherfuckers saying this shit are on medications for something that you don't have to be. And half of you motherfuckers have watched somebody close to you die because they weren't nourished through vitamins, minerals, and fucking eating and living a healthy lifestyle. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters? My muscles. What matters? My rippedness. You know what? When you're in a fucking hospital bed, I have few friends that have wound up in fucking hospital beds dying because they were so fucked up because they didn't think about their health. They talk about their muscles. Listen, I'm all about it if you want to be jacked and shredded. I don't give a fuck. That's awesome, okay? I did it half my life, and I understand it fully. But if you're not healthy, that time comes when that shit goes away, and all the work you did is for nothing, and you're laying in a fucking bed ill, not knowing if you're going to die or not. Hope these fucking treatments work because you didn't take care of yourself. The easiest thing to do is eat right and take a fucking multivitamin. Like, it's the easiest thing you can do for your health and your physique. The easiest fucking thing. It takes no effort to do this. Just takes a little fucking common sense and just a second to go, oh, I got to do this, take this pill, boom, done. That, like, nutrition is healing. Nutrition is medicine. Vitamins and minerals keep us alive. They keep our body functioning properly. And it does. When you get depleted in vitamins, it depletes your body to a point where your body can't fight back in certain things like cancer. Because look at it like this. Your immune system gets compromised because you're fucked up from not being nourished with certain vitamins and shit. And things like cancer, which are basically, we're multicellular organisms, which we replicate cells all the time. These cells get fucked up, and normally our body can fight it off and destroy these cells and replicate a new cell, hopefully that's a good one. Well, as these cells get replicated and they get fucked up, if your immune system can't fight these fucking things off because you're not nourished properly, these things take over and grow, and you have cancer, die. That's literally how it works. I'm not bullshitting. I'm not trying to scare you. It's not a scare tactic. That's real. Like, that's how that fucking works. I mean, it's much more complicated than that, but that's the basis of it. Those cells replicate. Your body can't fight it off. You fucking die. Okay? At the very least, you're sick as fuck and have to go through years of treatment that fucks you up, robs you of part of your life, fucks with your family who watches you fucking practically dying in a bed. Then maybe if you're lucky like my dad, you'll get 2 or 3, maybe 4 more years and die a horrible fucking painful death afterwards from the same fucking ailment because you didn't take care of yourself before. That's how you want to end your life? I hope those fucking muscles and abs are that important to you. I hope they're more important to you than your fucking family. I hope they're more important to you than fucking life. I hope they're more important than fucking the entire galaxy to you. Because paying attention to just those things and not what makes those fucking things work is what's going to fucking kill you in the long run. There's no doubt in my mind, all the data's there, all the statistics are there, but you guys don't want to look at it. Well, that applies to normal people. That applies to this. No, you know what, motherfucker? You're a human being, so it applies to you. Get your head out of your ass, get with the fucking program, and learn about this shit. I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm asking, like, my goal right now is even if I'm pissing you off right now, even if you hate what I'm saying, even if you love what I'm saying, I'm putting a fucking seed in your brain. I'm literally planting a seed in your brain that'll be there forever. And eventually what's going to happen is something may come up. Maybe you get an ailment. Well, fuck, how do I combat that? Fuck, well, maybe you go back to it and you research it. Maybe you're just like, Jerry's so full of shit, I can't wait to prove him wrong. I'm going to make a video and prove him wrong. And you go research it, find out that I'm right. Maybe it strikes a nerve with you because you had someone die in your family like my grandfather, my dad, and you research it on your own anyways. But the bottom line is I'm planting the seed of truth in your fucking brain right now, trying to fucking help you. And I know that sometimes people think I'm a dick for it, but I don't care. Because the bottom line is I learned this stuff early enough to where I can apply it, so hopefully when I'm older, I'm still good to go like my grandfather. So I'm grateful that I pulled my head out of my ass and decided to be like, look, muscles are great. Like I love having muscles. Great, right? But what good is that fucking arm if I'm laying in a hospital bed and can't even fucking lift it? The first time you see somebody that was super strong like that and you look at them and they're fucking withered away, you're going to be like, holy fuck. Like, I don't want that. And you'll do whatever the fuck it takes. Do whatever it takes now. It's easier and it's going to work as opposed to later when you get fucked up and you're trying to catch up. Stay ahead by getting behind. I always say that. Stay ahead of the fucking cancer and ailments by not getting behind, but keeping your fucking multis in there, eating better foods, and just fucking taking care of yourself. BioStreamTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStream.com is a blog. It's to please do your own research. Just go out there and do it. And we are out.